And ladies and gentlemen, are we live? Yes, we are live once again. This is your somewhat politically minded host, Abby Kaufman here, and it's a cloudy, cool Friday, July 10th in Newport Beach, California. I hope everybody's doing well. And let me remind everybody the number here is 949-629-3820. Feel free to call in and let us know what you're thinking about. And and if you guys have any points to be made, arguments to be made, let's hear them. If I'm happy to listen, and if your side has the better argument, then I'm more than open to being convinced. But I tell you something, I'm more and more convinced about. How's that for a segue? Is how bad the blunder was in Iran, and you know everything I see and hear from God knows where. The the Iranians are just livid. This is beyond whatever we did in the past. Over the last since what 1979, that'd be 47 years. Uh, since the Shah was named Pahlavi got run out and the Ayatollah came in, it's been a religious theocracy, right? And so over that time, these guardians and protectors are revered figures to their people. And, you know, Trump does everything from a distance without any intelligence. So he's, completely stupid and completely unpredictable like that because, most normal people can't think, stupid. So how do you figure out a stupid person? Right? Being kind of ironic to use AI to figure out a stupid person, wouldn't it? Uh, or who knows, maybe that'd be all the more appropriate. But anyway, these, I mean, this is the deal. What Trump originally thought was that this is a business deal, and I'll just give them money, and they'll behave, and we'll leave. But what Trump has or has rarely encountered, if ever in his life, is somebody or a bunch of people who are immune to the capital drive to make money. For some people, particularly in the Middle East, religion is everything. And I mean, it dictates how they live, how they marry, how, like I said, the social structure. And, you know, like I said, don't get this, this has been going on for 47 years. It's not like the Shah was a person. I mean, it's not like the Shah was a whole entity. He was just the head. But the Ayatollahs, their reach is literally everybody's bedroom. This is this is a religious theocracy. Make no mistake about it. They will dictate how. I'm sure sex is off the table. If a woman can't go outside with their hair uncovered, can you imagine what kind of rules they come up with for intimate situations? And the ultimate point of all this is to show you that there is no grand plan for Iran, and there never was, at least under the Trump administration. Uh, if he, you cannot, the sequence of events is such that they're so haphazard that it's got Trump's fingerprints all over them. And, you guys, you think people would start to like catch on. Hopefully they are. Um, but there's just a consistent pattern that Trump breaks things, makes an illusion of trouble, goes in and breaks things. I say makes an illusion of trouble, stirs up a little dust, and then walks away and leaves a mess for others to clean behind, until he goes on and break something else, which he does usually daily. Which is why the fact checker or fact checkers have have to work overtime for this guy. I mean, how do you possibly keep up with all the lies he said? But it's different when you lie in a business environment versus as the leader of the free world, the United States of America. I mean, was he not a complete embarrassment at NATO? He still doesn't understand that it's a defensive organization. It's not. They're not there to help you. Do pursue an unjust end. I mean, there was no. There, everybody. This is beyond argument. Everybody knows it did not need to happen, and now that it has happened, I sure don't smell like a winner. I mean, how many was it? 300, almost half $1 trillion that Iran's going to get. And even though he slapped the sanctions back on because of the little dust up in the last day or two, the truth of the matter is it's as shoddy a job as you would expect from Trump. And he is the developer that was put a coat of paint on something and tell you it was remodeled from the studs out. And for the life of me, I cannot figure out how anybody believes him. And and I'm going to use this to segue into a what I think is a fairly big deal. Uh, but what really saddened me on top of all this was thinking back to I you know 2 years ago, year and a half ago, and thinking about the 2024 election and the presidential race between Trump and Kamala Harris. It astounded me that Trump got one vote. I just can't imagine the appeal, especially after January 6th. I mean, wasn't that enough to disqualify him in your book? Or did you think he was a financial genius who just happened to have a little overreaction to his speech that day? Or do you really think it's an inside job that all that film and all those people and all those people that got killed and maimed, they were just Hollywood extras, but they just so happened to be in DC in time to make this? Whatever story people put out there, uh, the real story has been asked and answered. And it was asked and answered by the January 6th committee. I forget who all was on it, Raskin, and he might have been the head of it. But I'm going to tell you, I watched every bit of that, and how anybody could argue that that's not real is beyond me. And if they do argue it's beyond real, they may have a sincere belief because their news source said so, and they consume absolutely no other news. So, when you only have one source, you think it's the gospel. Hang on, my throat's a little scratchy today. Uh, in case you guys can't tell, it's like I am wearing a jacket. I've actually got two shirts on and a jacket, and it's really overcast and cool here. It can't be more than like 65 degrees. We're talking like grocery store cold. But anyway, Iran just and they got their wish list with Trump wanting to get out so badly. And there's always two sides to the deal, right? Usually it'd be nice when the deals are 50-50, but sometimes the sellers just got to sell at any price, and sometimes the buyer will just pay anything in the world. And to get out, guess what? Iran had Trump by the commonly used expression short and curlies, but you get what we mean. Uh, if he wanted to leave and he wanted Iran to play nice, it's going to cost him. And the truth of it is, it doesn't cost him; it cost us. And anyone that thinks Trump has ever done anything for anybody, uh, please look me up when the broadcast is over. We've got some serious chatting to do. But anyway, like I said, what bummed me out was that the better candidate, the clearly better candidate, Kamala Harris, did not get elected. I could not believe that that anybody would vote for Trump, but he won a majority of the vote, not just electoral college. He won a majority of the vote, and you start realizing all the Jesus stuff, and he how that happened, I'll never know. Kamala was the first one to say, I will walk in with a to-do list. Trump's going to walk in with a revenge list, retribution list. Well, how's that working out for us? Yeah, about that well. Uh, and if anybody can, please tell me one decent thing the guy's done, period. I don't think that the big, beautiful counts as one, even though I would love to know what what the Republicans are thinking about how they're going to sell the big beautiful bill to their constituents when they're back home for the summer break, and campaigns starting to swing into high gear, and yeah, I just can't wait to hear what they say. The initial town halls were a little hostile, and I don't think it got any better. And Trump's a funny guy because the more you see him, the more you hate him, and the more he's in the limelight, the happier he is. So you've got this disgusting orange tinged subhuman creature inhabiting the White House, just who just thinks he's just wonderful. And I was thinking about DC now, and I can just imagine how the you can see the outlines of like Trump Land or Trump Amusement Park or Trump World, whatever it is. You can just see it, and something, as the Palm Beach guys renamed their airport, their international airport, the Donald J. Trump, Palm Beach Airport. I kept thinking to myself, what did this guy to do to deserve this? Was he some high-minded civic individual who, I don't know, built a library? Yeah, that might happen. Uh, but no, that's not what happened. And uh, he just bullied. Actually, he bullied so many people that people were so afraid of him that people ran to kiss that old, Trump hiney, if you know what I mean. And it's like, if I want anything from this guy, I'm gonna have to bribe him to get it. So to build up a little goodwill, what do? They changed the name of the airport. They float adding Trump to Mount Rushmore, and all indications are that if it's got Trump's name on it, people stay away. Now, what he's being told is, kind of open. I can only imagine. But there's what 70%. If he's at 30% approval, that means he's at like 70% disapproval, and that's like over 2 to 1. So, but does he hear this, or does he see it in some way? And if he does see it, does it come across as just like commie propaganda? You have, without convictions, of course, you have no way of really knowing what somebody will go stands for. But my observation still holds. Oh gosh, and that the most dangerous place in the world is between Donald Trump and a dollar. There's just absolutely no doubt in my mind about this. Um, so we didn't elect Kamala. And what did that lead to? The 2024, the great autopsy. And, it wasn't, I don't think it addressed the problems. However, I will tell you who did address the problems. And it's the same guys you can always count on, the New York Times. And this, keep in mind, this is against the background of the Graham Plattner thing in Maine. And, it does make you question how much they or how hard the background search was relative to Plattner. I mean, I would like to think that had they chatted with some of these women early on, it might have been obvious that that somebody was going to say something at some point in time, and this just wasn't a good candidate. I mean, he's the face of Maine Democrats. Whoever they elect is the face, and he just, and that's it's funny. That's the whole problem. Was I think the Democrats just fell in love with the way he looked, and he had a good story, and there was nothing really substantial. I mean, he was of course, no doubt angry at the world. Uh, but the real question is, what do we stand for? Okay, so while Plattner and the socialist Dems are all for a little angry and all that stuff, at least the social Dems are doing something. And when I think about Mamdani in New York City, I think that he's a good thing for lots of people. I don't know if he's the best thing for everybody, but can you imagine living in a place where there just are no grocery stores within, you know, blocks? And blocks in New York are really big blocks. And if so, how much can you carry? How do you get it back home? You would have to go daily, wouldn't you? Uh, and it's not like people drive to the grocery store in New York. So I am all for government-run grocery stores in low-income areas or areas that are food deserts. I think that's just, to be honest with you, I think it's just being humane, and uh, and it pays off in the long run when people eat healthy, and I think also it sends a positive message about government. We are here to help you. If you can't feed yourself, we can help feed you here. And to and for the people that keep wanting to say this is a white Christian nation, which of course it obviously isn't, they sure keep, don't act like it. I mean, if it was a truly Christian nation, you'd be, helping the poor. You'd be what? You'd be healing the sick, feeding the hungry, clothing the naked, sheltering the homeless, and uh, which is kind of like what Christ had to say, right? I'm not hardly a religious scholar, but I'm pretty sure that's like the fundamentals of Christianity. Doing it to others, love your brother, da 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 da. Uh, Now, how that fits in with taking away health care and food benefits, I'm not really sure. But like I say, I am here, and guys, and I should remind everybody that since I'm just reminding to myself, give us a call at 949-629-3820, and we actually have a line open. So when somebody's up to it, give us a call, and you might think nobody cares about what you have to say, but that's not true. We Democracy Radio Network cares about what you say. We offer call-ins anytime we're on the air. The number is 949-629-3820, and let us. We want to listen to you, uh, because you know we uh, and I'm going to call myself like I guess kind of media. But if we don't know everybody's thoughts, it's hard to come up with an equitable solution to almost anything. And for us to be around for another 250 years, what's absolutely necessary is to agree on a common set of operative facts. We can't have two people looking at a video and coming to two separate conclusions when when only one conclusion is correct. So, for instance, you would have you'd have to come down to maybe 80%, 90% of people watching January 6th committee and saying, I understand the evidence they presented. I saw no evidence of fakery, uh, and therefore I believe it's real. If you get to like that, where you can agree on things, at least there's some basis for moving forward as a society. But and you but as long as you have election deniers, climate deniers, how about just general science deniers? A Nobel computer scientist from I want to say New York, anyway, is moving to China with his AI institute. Yeah, and if you guys recall, it wasn't that long ago where we were that place that everybody wanted to come, and now, you know, and now we're just a shadow of what we were. And honestly, looking back on it, it didn't have to be this way. And to everybody that voted for Trump, I'm sorry to keep throwing it in your face, but you're responsible for this. Like it or not, oops, I made a mistake or not. And yeah, I'm gonna tell you, I've got an old friend who's about 85, and he's never ever voted anything other than a Republican. And I think he honestly believes the propaganda. And so he, of course, votes for Trump. And I ask him why. Like, wasn't January 6th enough? And he says, well, I just thought he'd peep that on the economy, like, the standard response. So it was my lucky day because I just so happened to have a four-page printout of Trump's financial wonders. And I had asked him, like, which, is this on the evidence on which your conclusion is based? And I chose to move on from that conversation fairly quickly. I didn't want to irritate somebody. As I irritate enough people, I don't need to go out of my way. And anyway, so while people may honestly believe that, we kind of had a camel, it didn't have to be this way. But let's get back to the Times editorial board, because that's what those guys are the smart people. And like I said, the title is "Democrats Can't Go On Like This," and they pose the question that sometimes you look for somebody who looks right and has a compelling story, and maybe you don't look as deep as you might otherwise because he fits the molds, or she fits the mold so well. And of course, that's what happened with Plattner. And the truth of the matter, he was a lousy messenger. Even though he was a lousy messenger, he did have overflow crowds and voluntary armies. I mean, the country is definitely hungry for change. Uh, but what we don't need is the new fresh, charismatic, young, look the part candidate. The real way you win votes is by telling people what you stand for, backbone and all, what you stand for. That will convince people. Uh, so what do we actually believe in? And we don't have a really great message with immigration beyond just outrage at Trump's methods. The party is yet to have a central working message on how dealing with housing, a single unified message dealing with what we would do with education, and not to mention what in the world are we going to do about the disruption that AI is about to cause with the at least in the workforce and society. I said there's absolutely no doubt that voters want change in action. And well, like I said, the Democrat favorable rating is like or unfavorable rating is 40%. Lots of people are just don't think much of us. And like I said, personally, I find that a little astonishing, just because I'd like to think that you know the the uh, the traits and characteristics of people are obvious, but they might not. So yeah, so the bottom line is, Plattner looked good, right? But he didn't just appeal because of the oysters or oyster shell in the beard. It wasn't. It was his appeal was that he seemed to be standing for something, and he was angry about the economy being rigged for the powerful, and he said so. And people responded to the guy and they had so much energy pouring into the messenger Plattner before anybody was sure of the message of the stuff he was carrying, the stuff he was bringing with him. Uh, so the next charismatic guy or woman that comes along is going to struggle to succeed without something. Um, uh, you can't. Personality is not a platform. We've got to have a platform and answers. And I have no idea what Ken Martin is actually doing. But I tell you what, I am convinced of is that this time people are going to put aside their differences and not vote Republican. I think that anyone that thinks uh, that the U.S. as a whole is better off, I think that's a clear minority. Everybody can feel the economic ripples, and I would even a place like Newport Beach, you see a little, some frugality that you wouldn't ordinarily see. And I mean, this morning I passed like one of those Rolls Royce SUVs and some big Maybach thing. And so while this place is almost recession proof, it's not like that where the rural hospital closed. I mean, or how about just being a woman and needing, medical care, child delivery services? How about that? How about if you guys have any idea what you would like the Democrat platform to be, give me a call. Let me know 949-629-3820. I would not be opposed at all to having a guest or two in line online and chat about this. Uh, like I said, what kind of statement could we make with education? I think I think a really shrewd thing would be, and have this in all 50 states. Community colleges, trade schools are free as long as uh, what B average, C average, whatever it is. How about a B average? Just I think that's a little better. And yeah, how about that? And how about I don't know, maybe some sort of idea about how to structure the workforce, because it's getting ready to change. And and I said I can't foresee the future with AI, but I clearly see less people or fewer people in it, and that's a problem. And as far as just society being a problem, there are entire city blocks and towns and probably states that have been largely left behind in the digital revolution. I mean, there's still some parts of rural Mississippi and all that where I guess the only hope for internet would be Starlink. Your only hope is the most expensive option. Um, and so you need a fair amount of technology just to work at McDonald's and operate the register. It's not like the good old days where you punch in two cheeseburgers, a dollar, what, $1.49, $1.99, whatever it is. So yeah, and what else? Uh, and housing. How I don't have any idea how what to do with housing to make it more affordable or to bring down the cost of housing without causing a major financial implosion. Because I think the average house nationwide is what 350, and it's almost $1 million out here. But if your nationwide house, I mean, average is $350,000, that means that you have to come up with, help me here, $70,000 as a down payment, 20%. And let's say you get a bargain. Let's say you get a $200,000 house. God knows where, but let's say it's $200,000. And by my reckoning, that's like a $40,000 deposit. And if you're buying a $200,000 house, you probably don't have the 40 grand to put down on it. So what if the actual prices actually did come down? Well, all Fannie Mae and all those ads about the mortgage broker and this and the other. Imagine if their holdings decreased by, I don't know, 20%. Would they not implode? Would we not have massive bankruptcies and panic everywhere? So I don't know what to do. I guess you would have to do two things. You'd have to make the newer housing affordable, relative to, and you probably still have to subsidize. And that may be a good thing. I don't know the economics of the finances of it, uh, but would it be better to to put somebody in a house at zero down payment, early on. And interest is such a funky thing. And we had it so good for so long with those 2 and 3% mortgages that people just they don't want to spend more money than that. And interest rates are what, like around 4.5 or 5 now, which is historically cheap, but it's still double from where we were. So what's your solution? I mean, even if we built more housing, it couldn't be done overnight. uh, I think that and okay, that's always a liability problem. But I think the most economical way out of this is to build or buy these tiny homes. Everybody's got a lock and a key, and just establish neighborhoods. If we need bus service to take them to and from work in any given city, you do it. Um, and maybe a new separate cheap housing that wouldn't necessarily pull down the current market is an idea. And there's also some long-term hope that there's therapeutic and social benefits to doing this. I think there is. I don't know. I'm under no illusions that we can uh, acquire enough tiny homes for everyone. But what I think is that, number one, you go after the low-hanging fruit. You go after the homeless that are, to the degree they're working or their kids are going to school, and you try to help those guys first, just because they're more likely to be able to help themselves and more than likely take less time than the more serious ones. And sometimes there's just not much to be done when somebody's on the street with mental illness. And I want to remind everybody that the reason that Ronald Reagan, the good saint Ronald Reagan, Bad Time for Bonzo, it was a movie he made with a monkey, Bad Time for Bonzo. Uh, I'd like to remind everybody that he alone is the root cause of homelessness. And if you're listening to me, I'm sorry about the breeze. It's really strong. In fact, it blew out the umbrella from the stand, and I had to chase it down. And I didn't want that to happen while I was chatting, so we just decided to tie it up and and not fight about it. But anyway, way back in 1980, after Jimmy Carter, and that don't forget that was the Iranian crisis that led to the Islamic Revolution and the Revolutionary Guard and all that. I think the Shah had cancer or something, and I can't remember. I don't think Jimmy Carter let him in for surgery, but he went somewhere, and that's when I said the revolution took hold. And in 10 years, 10 years, in 40, 70 years, those guys have grown to be a real force. I mean, think about them still, even after everything we've done, they've still got decent drone capability. I mean, and so back to Reagan. So what Reagan does is he closes the mental hospitals by ending involuntary incarceration, so that cops can't just put you in the in the asylum. That you just you're entitled to some due process, and we're just not going. If you want to be in the asylum, you have to say so and come and ask. So voluntary incarceration is okay. Involuntary incarceration is out. So of course you get all these people, mentally ill people, on the street, and then, as if you would think the humane thing to do would be to maybe give these people a something on the way out, like a shelter or hotel room or something. But no, Reagan sees fit to slash the Section 8 subsidized housing. So he's throwing people, mentally ill people, not, we ain't talking Mensa. He's throwing mentally ill people on the street, and they said, "Oh, by the way, you don't have a place to go. Sorry." And you're like, "What?" And if you want to know what happens, it's funny. That's been like 45 years ago. So these events are have some proximity in time. But anyway, I just want to make sure you kind of knew that next time somebody mentions this great communicator Ronald Reagan or whatever as they call him. Oh gosh, aren't we lucky? It was so cold earlier. It looks like the sun's getting ready to come out. I can almost feel a little warmth. I keep telling everybody that Southern California is not all sunshine and bathing suits and all that. It's like it was cool, and this is July, so that's part of the charm. So guys, let's see housing and what see, with education beyond community college. I what has happened is teaching used to be a career or profession, and now it's a job. Years ago you'd have the older teachers who'd been doing this for years who just came out to school and wanted a teaching license, and I don't. And anyway, as the people became or wanted to be teachers for careers, things kind of shifted to the younger, more hip teacher that, of course, every kid gravitates to. But because they're so young, they're of course lacking the historical perspective that the older teachers have to pass down. And in life, I think you have to know how to not, you have to have your perspective, but you also have to be able to analyze other people's perspectives to see if they're if it kind of adds up, if you know what I mean. Because oh god, the sun is coming out. Thank you. Uh, and maybe that means that I can take my jacket off. Ooh. Uh, uh, oh, you don't have to worry about dead air with me around, do you? Okay. I managed to get one sleeve out, and I only kind of lost my headphone cord, which means it's some. Oh, you know what? As long as it's still in my headphones, I can do it at my leisure. Uh, okay. So anyway, guys. So in down in at least in this district, we've got a really good representative. Actually, we have two of them, and Dave Min is. I mean, he's running for re-election for Congress in District 47 out here, and I'm going to tell you, Dave is a very impressive guy. I I saw him. He was running. I won't say what the office was, and I won't say who the debate was. But I did see Dave debate for a political office, and all I can tell, and the other candidate was no slouch, but I can promise you that it wasn't a fair fight. Okay, I mean Dave is just that bright, and he's just that honest, and as we look forward to the midterms into 2026, doesn't that just speak volumes when somebody's honesty is refreshing? I, you The corruption in the White House is just laughable, which is exactly what the world is doing. Every time Trump says the world respects us now, I tell you, I tell you how much Belgium respects us. After the Belgians beat the U.S. in the World Cup, I saw a cartoon, and the cartoon was of a Belgian soccer player, and the Belgian soccer player was peeing, and the Belgian soccer player was peeing in a green algae filled reflecting pond, while said Belgian soccer player is flipping America the bird. That is what they're thinking about us. And guys, this is it's just an international catastrophe. You see what happens when he goes to NATO, and you see what happens with the $400 million jet that you would have to be stupid to turn down. Other than the thing is, the guy's just a moron, but he's a moron that can bully. And you gotta. I don't know how tall he is anymore. I think he started out at 6'7" or whatever it is. But it's really easy for big people to intimidate. I mean, I'm like what 5'7", 5'8", 140 pounds on a good day. It doesn't take much. I saw two women today that intimidated me. It just doesn't take much. And so I'm, between being imposing size wise and having a narcissistic bully personality, uh, I just can't believe that anybody voted for him. And how about the MAGA people that did vote for him? And there is one guy I did feel sorry for, and I think I forgot how much it was, but it was the guy's entire life savings. And I'm gonna assume it was $100,000 just for round figures. So, being the true believer that he is, and I mean, and Trump is a financial genius, right? So the guy buys $100,000 worth of Trump meme coins from World Liberty Financial, from Trump's brokerage house, and I don't know if what do you call him, an underwriter, an issuer, or whatever it is. So the guy spends $100,000 of his retirement. I mean, that's it. That's the guy's life savings. And I promise you, this guy's not alone as far as the true believers. So the guy puts $100,000, his life savings, in the Trump meme coin. And if I'm not mistaken, that as of about yesterday, I think the $100,000 was worth a grand total of $3,640. So you may wonder exactly where the other $96,360 went. Well, I would say that it probably went into Trump's pocket, and that's how you get to make a few $1 billion a year when you ought to be like what the hillbillies would call president. And whatever you do, and it ain't president. I don't think you're not. Real presidents don't tweet at all hours of the night, and Don, the real problem is just you lied and you cheated and you stole, and now you're kind of surprised that people are starting to wake up. Well, if once the No Kings thing starts rolling around, there's got to be one in the next month or so. I think you'd be hard pressed to miss the anti-Trump coverage. So I can only hope that the woman who follows Trump around and is responsible for all sorts of positive news. And they want the positive news. Truth or falsity doesn't matter. and how un-American is that? Weren't Americans always kind of known as being like fair people? We believed in openness and honesty and all that stuff, and we've got a guy now who thinks people believe in that are suckers, and we just and you can say that being different from other presidents is good, but that's a very short-term view. You know, societies are like games. You gotta have rules for society. You gotta have rules for the game. Without rules or laws, societies cannot exist. Okay. Uh, so what you need to have is some respect for those that come before you and after you. Uh, every other president uh, has followed the caretaker model, that I'm here to improve things to the degree I can, and I don't want to leave things worse for who succeeds me. Uh, but now you've got someone that's just me, me, me. I don't care who came before me, and I don't care who comes after me. I want this. And isn't that the root of all this? Is nobody told the guy no? The Republicans, the best thing the Republicans can do is withdraw from every Senate and congressional seat. Just don't run.
Give it to the Democrats and let them clean up Trump's mess, and then you can come back. But I think we need every Democrat elected to every position. I say not just the dog catcher, not just the assistant dog catcher. I want the assistant dog catcher to the assistant dog catcher to be a Democrat, because it's, without power, in Washington it's all about power, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, it's all about, the votes. And if your position has votes, it just might advance. If your position ain't got any votes, well, it's kind of down the tubes until we, redraw, redraft, whatever. Uh, so you've got these just short term people that are intent on praising Trump, which is how you get, like I said, the Palm Beach Trump Airport, and how you get the Trump Kennedy Center, and how you get this, that, and the other. Now, I do think the Trump Kennedy Center thing is very, very enlightening. If anybody's going to work on that, give us a call, 949-629-3820. But can you imagine being in a position that your name is number one? You got to put your name up on something probably in the middle of the night. I doubt this was done in broad daylight. Um, and then the judge orders it taken down, your name. And this is after you've, stacked the board and all this stuff. Uh, and, while I'm talking about stacking boards and stuff, Trump just sacked the majority of a safe election bipartisan committee. Uh, and like I said, the guys, like I said, Americans used to be, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. It's how kids were brought up. It's not, and I'm going to do that again. Think about this. It's not whether you win or lose. It's how you played the game. Did you play hard? Did you play with intensity? Did you not make it easy for those guys? And bigger question, did you lose, which happens, or did you just get beat? And, I can handle losing. Getting beaten is an entirely different feeling. I don't mind losing, I don't know, let's say tennis match 6-4, 6-4. Uh, but it would just kill me if it was, 7-5, 7-5. But I don't play much tennis anymore, so that's kind of an academic thing. But yeah, as long as it's hard fought and fair, you've seen football teams, basketball, and we're Americans. We're used to getting like a bad call or happening, and I mean we've all had it. Excuse me, we've all had it happen. If it hadn't happened to us, it happened to a team we've watched, and human error. And I think just acknowledging that some human error is showing compassion on some level, and these days we can't show too much compassion. I don't think that I don't think Trump's strongman or fake strongman or whatever it is. Philosophy helps very much. Oh, by the way, I want to start teasing a few things. First things next Friday, I think we have Lisa Ramirez on, and Lisa just ran for Assembly District. I forgot where, what district. But anyway, Lisa is an immigration attorney, and she lost. She did not make the finals for November. And I said, Lisa, just out of curiosity, how would you feel about coming on and telling us, what you learned by running? And surprisingly, she said yes. I'm always really happy when people agree to come on, especially people that have something to say. And if you listen to, or if you keep listening to democracyradionetwork.com, as founder, I promise I will never have uninformed, unintelligent guests. All my guests will be treated with respect, whether I agree or not, because it's not about whether I agree. It's about extending some basic decency to a fellow American. Like I said, I may not agree with you, and I probably won't. Uh, but I do want to make one more comment. I tell you, I want to I'll give a shout out to the what 27 or 841 people who suffered through my music video. Uh, it was called "I'd Like to Pee Where Donald Trump Sleeps," and I wrote it to the tune of Octopus's Garden. So I want to thank everybody for that. And I want to tease a video that I tried to do yesterday and ran a little short of time, but I'll try to get it done today. And while I promise this will be a surprise to everyone who sees it on after I upload, but there was a song way back from 1957 by a guy named Brian Hyland, Hyland, and I spell it out because I get my haircut on Highland Avenue in Costa Mesa, Hyland. So we'll have to see if Brian was an Orange County boy or what the deal is. But anyway, in 1957, the hottest song on the planet Earth. Uh, think about this. The hottest song on the planet Earth was Brian Hyland singing. It was an itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini. And of course, when I hear teeny weeny, you can imagine who I think of. So we came up with something like, what was it? Uh, Stormy. Oh, it starts out. She was afraid to come out of the locker. She was afraid that everyone would see something, something, something. My itsy bitsy yellow bikini, and she didn't want to be seen. She thought it was too small, obscene, whatever it is. So I rewrote it. I think as Stormy wasn't afraid to testify. What do you for there? Uh, Anyway, I'd like to be. Geez, now I can't remember. Sorry, guys. We'll record it and then get it out to you. Uh, but it's like I'd like to pee when Donald Trump sleeps. My 32 fluid ounce number one. I hope everybody can appreciate a 32 fluid ounce number one. It takes a lot of time and effort to do that. But yeah, and it's to the tune of Octopus's Garden. So that's why it's kind of a fun song to sing along. I hope you guys check it out tomorrow, and I'll do my best to get it up today. I tried recording it a few times, and every time I tried to upload it and close caption it, it didn't transcribe accurately, and it was just frustrating. So I just figured I'd try it again today. And that's kind of like your bad luck, and if it was your good luck, I would have given it out. But yeah, guys, check out our my music videos. I don't make I tell people the only thing worse than my guitar playing is my singing. So give me a break on that. I don't sing. I can do enough for like a singer songwriter demo, but it has to go to somebody like really good or somebody with a decent voice. And in my family, there's like no one available. So guys, what do we stand for? What do we stand for? And we need a really solid plank. And like I said, if anyone's got any thoughts, give us a call 949-629-3820. And let's see if we can't dig deep this time. We don't have a whole lot of time, but let's dig deep into our we've got such an embarrassment of riches. Sometimes we go wrong by picking the the uh, the best looking alternative. And if there's one thing Donald Trump has shown us, it's the way he picks these allegedly good looking Fox hosts for cabinet positions. Well, isn't that insane? What'd you do before you became Secretary of the Department of Defense? Oh, I was on Fox News. And he's trying to tell us people respect that. Oh, guys, I'm going to tell you something. It is Friday afternoon. Yeah, it is Friday afternoon. And it's not quite 1 o'clock, but I'm so congested. My throat's starting to go. I'm going to make it slightly less than an hour. So I appreciate you indulging me and letting me check out a few minutes early. Have a super weekend. This is Abby Kaufman signing off of the Democracy Radio Network.com, the Abby Kaufman Show. And you know what we always